Welcome to the Get Real with King Arthur show. And I'm going to talk today about something I've always loved, which is called little theater, community theater. And I am fortunate enough to have, well, the cat's meow when it comes to little theater. Ed Krasnow and I belong to the same writers group, the Tamarack Writers Group. And it's been exciting. I think he joined it when he was a college student, and it's been exciting to see him grow over the years and now become a professor at the university. Is it the Bridgewater, Ed?
No, I'm at Massasoit Community College, Doc.
Okay. And I
Yeah.
tried to get your title, but it was so long. Would you repeat it for us?
Yes, I'm the director of the Digital Media Arts Center, and I'm also an adjunct faculty member.
Okay. Well, that's enough to keep you busy. But
It is.
uh, I'm all curious about how you got involved in community. Do you call it community theater, little theater? What do you call it?
Com-
Ed?
Community theater would be the term I'd use. Yeah.
Community theater.
Yeah.
And when I was professor, I didn't have much time for other pursuits, and here you have intimately involved in not only acting in community theater, but stage directing it. So,
Yes.
how did you and why did you get involved in community theater, Ed?
Well, I ask myself that every day, Doc. Why did I do this? But the answer is it's a tremendous amount of fun. When I was first out of college, I went to work at the TV studio at Massasoit Community College, and our fellow writer Tim Trask, Dr. Trask, hired me to work there. And our theater director at the time, his name was Michael Pevsner. I had not been involved in theater during high school, during college, during any of it. And he said, "Hey, do you want to play Wino number three in the upcoming performance of Little Shop of Horrors?" And I said, "Sure, why not? I'll do that." Um, I had since recalled that I had been in little plays in school and little plays at the at Temple and things like that, but I wasn't really seriously involved in theater. I did that show, and then the next one came up, and he said, "Oh, do you want to be in this one?" And I said, "Sure, I'll play a small part in that." And then a part came up in a Neil Simon play. Um, which was Biloxi Blues. And he said, "I want you to audition for this play." And I got a part as one of the soldiers in Neil Simon's Biloxi Blues. And that, as they say, is history. I just kept going. It's sort of I don't know, a bug that bites you. And even though it's grueling and it's a lot of work and it's a tremendous number of hours, in the end, it's very rewarding. It's a rewarding thing to have created art that audiences can enjoy.
Uh, I know, and you will talk about it is very demanding of time and energy. And I understand it is, of course, working with literature, and that's exciting. And well, anyway, tell us a little more about what is not only time consuming, but rewarding about acting in little theater. Because
So
many people out there uh, might, I think they might easily expand their horizons by participating in little theater.
yes. I think people should who are interested in it should try it. Audition for a show. Find out these open auditions, and try out and see if it's something you like. You'll quickly find out if it's for you because it's not for the faint of heart. It's for people who decide to be committed to it and really enjoy it. But once you kind of get the theater bug, it's hard to get rid of. So approach with caution. Um, I I find that. Well, we're both writers, and you certainly are a better writer than I, and have been doing it longer. But we know that everything starts with good writing, and when you have a script that's written by a professional writer who's written a story that has depth and great characters that is well written, that tells a story that needs to be told to an audience. That to me is the most important part because you spend 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks with a script. But you want to like the author, you want to like the writing. And as you're learning these lines, you're trying to interpret what the writer says, what the writer is trying to say, what the writer intended for each character through your part. And so for me, it starts with the writing. If I like a play, I'll want to perform in that play or direct that play. And being part of that is being part of a cast of people who are all working towards the same goal, which is nice because you're in a group of people who are like-minded, who enjoy this particular art of performance, who are learning and growing together. You're working with uh, technical people who are trying to help create the illusion of this reality on stage. You work with a director who has to coordinate all the parts of this. You know, a lot of things that people don't realize that go on. You go to a play and you see the show and you say, "Oh, that was nice," but you don't realize that the couch that was on stage had to come from somewhere, and the window that's there had to be hung by someone, and the rug that's on stage had to be borrowed from somewhere, and the piano had to be carted over and brought onto that stage, and the costumes that people are wearing had to be either fitted, sewn, or borrowed. And there's a lot of logistics that go into it, and even that part, even though the amount of work is the fun part of putting this all together, and ultimately, having all these disparate pieces create a performance that people see that's seamless, that people don't even understand how much went into it. That is the art and the beauty of it, that you're part of something the audience just enjoys, and they don't really understand how much goes into it. I've been trying to write something lately that does kind of explain some of the behind the scenes things that go on to make a play happen.
You lead me right into the question I was about to ask you. Uh, you didn't, as an undergraduate, I believe, take many writing courses or literature, some, but I believe that the Writers' Conference has certainly been a great impetus for me to write. And I think that probably it has been a major influence in you to appreciate writing and good literature. Is that true?
It is absolutely true. The I don't know how many years, 30 something years, 35, 36 years that I've been participating in the Tamarack Writers Group. I was invited by Tim Trask. It was probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me. It's helped me not only appreciate good writing, but grow as a writer, getting feedback from an incredible pool of talent, folks like yourself who come from all over the country to listen to the work and evaluate and critique and offer support. To me, it's been the greatest help to my writing, and I've tried to keep writing over the years as much as I can. Like everything is time consuming, but I feel it's improved my writing. It's helped me grow as a writer, and knowing that I have the group of people that can say to me, "Hey, that piece of work is okay, keep going," or you know what, turn it a different direction, and that's okay too. That's a big help for me as a
Yeah,
writer.
absolutely. I suppose it even helps you. I'm sure it doesn't help you choose what play the theater is going to produce.
It does. Yeah. I mean, I haven't done a lot of Shakespeare. I have friends that have done a lot of Shakespeare. It's something that I aspire to. It's also something I'm afraid of because Shakespeare's lines are so brilliant, to be able to do it well. Sometimes when I see community theater shows of Shakespeare, I cringe. It shouldn't be done poorly because it's too important work, but when it's done well, it's brilliant. And I think unless you can do it right, it should be left for professionals. But I've seen community theater and semi-professional theaters do Shakespeare and have left going, wow, that was fantastic.
Amen. Because um, although Shakespeare was good with plots, the glory of Shakespeare is the language. And to interpret that clearly is should be a prime object of the theater itself and the director. You know, it's been interesting to see watch you develop as a writer, and, and been
Thank
a
you.
very exciting thing to have happen. And that I think we're talking to many people out there who perhaps a little interested in the theater and might develop uh, ability to read and interpret whatnot. I think of a week ago when I asked you, since I'm legally blind, to read one of my poems, which is extremely difficult because I had all sorts of philosophers' names. And so I couldn't believe you developed and read it perfectly. And that's the kind of ability for the actor and director in facing the language of Shakespeare that I think is essential, as you point out.
Yeah. Thank you. Well,
The um, there's so many facets of the theater that we could explore. I know that. How did you develop into becoming the director from being an actor?
um, I watched probably like many actors slash directors. I watched directors work for a very long time. I also, because I'm working in television and radio and some film, I studied for many, many years and watched what directors do and what directors need to do. And once I understood what the role of the director was, and I think that's critical to understand what the director's role is in a play or a movie um, or any performance art. Once you understand that role, you
What
take.
is the director's role? Could you articulate that a bit?
Yes. So I mean, in a play, the director's role is they are the creative vision for the show. The director really does cast the actors, so the director decides which actor is going to play which part, based on the play they've chosen, who's going to best represent that character, both physically. I mean, you want someone who's the right physical type for the part that you envision, or at least what you envision the writer's vision to have been. And sometimes casting can be flexible. You can choose somebody who looks nothing like the description of the author, but fulfills your vision of what you want this story to be. But ultimately, what the audience sees on that stage is the director's vision, and they rehearse that show with the actors. They pick the actors, they rehearse with the actors, they block them, they tell them actually where to stand, where to move, when to talk. Often working with the instincts of the actors themselves. If you pick good actors, they often will know what to do. But when you're an actor on stage, you can't see what the audience sees. The director has to be out in the audience, looking at that stage and saying, "Hey, actor one, you can't block actor two while they're talking. You can't walk, then wait a moment to walk." It's a lot of logistics and it's a lot of character development. So you work with the actors for weeks and weeks and weeks, helping them understand the character that you want them to develop and working within their understanding of the character. So ultimately, it's the director's vision that the audience sees, but in very much in collaboration with everyone else participating in the show.
Wow. And I heard you say that you have not found maybe very good books on directing a play, or maybe no books
I,
that
I
are good.
haven't found
And
that.
I think you are planning to write one yourself. Is that true?
Well, the piece that I'm working on right now, and I appreciate your encouragement and others, which describes a lot of the things that I'm talking about now. It describes the role of a director, the role of a stage manager, what the role of an actor is, and all of the parts of the play. I'm writing that now, and I could turn that into a handbook or a training manual or some sort of exercise that helps people understand how to do these various jobs, in addition to understanding what goes on backstage at a play that you might see, and certainly in community theater, and to some extent in semi-professional theater as well. It's less so in a Broadway realm. It's similar, but it's more jobs are more defined in a professional theater. So community theater is a little bit different, its own animal as it were.
It seems to me that you already know what you want to say. So when can we hope to see this work?
Well, I wrote a lot this year. I got good feedback from the Tamarack group. So over this next year, I'll keep writing. It seems to be writing itself pretty easily. So I'm hoping by next Tamarack, I have some sort of piece that I can decide what to do with.
What would you say to a person who maybe you, I hope, developed a little taste for maybe uh, this as a venue for their creative impulses? What would you say to the person to get started or whatever? You know, they don't know anything about little theater much, and they what would you tell them?
I would say, first of all, go to some community theaters, go to some little theaters and see a few plays and see a play that you might be particularly interested in. Like if you say, I would like to act in this play by this writer or this director, and see that show. And maybe afterwards stay around and talk to the actors and maybe talk to the director and ask them questions about the show. How did you come to this? Why did you choose to do this in this part of the show? Now, how long did this take? And once you talk to them, in my area, you can't throw a rock without hitting a little or a community theater. Almost every town around here has a theater. I know it's not that way in every community in the country, but in many communities, certainly in cities and in suburbs, there are community theaters all over the place. Find one and then get on their mailing list. And then when they send out audition notices, go and audition for a play that you think you might be interested in. And you just tell them you don't have a lot of experience. Sometimes they'll put you in the background or with a one or two words to say, and then you get a sense of, through that rehearsal process, you will quickly get a sense of what it's like to be on stage and quickly decide if it's right for you. You say, wow, this is something I really like, or my gosh, why would you put so much time and effort into something like this? It's ridiculous. It's pretty quick if you like it.
You know, I say about teaching, which I'm basically a teacher,
Hmm.
enthusiasm costs nothing.
Yeah.
And it goes a long way if you are
Yeah.
care and interested and enthusiastic. What kind of, now, I don't think you get paid for this acting. Uh, what kind of commitment must you take if you decide to get involved?
Good question. Most of the time, in most community theaters, the actors do not get paid. In some, they can get a stipend, which is just a little bit, sometimes enough for gas money. Some theaters will put out a tip jar for the actors, which is handy. By the end of a production, there could be $200 in there. And then every actor gets 20, 25 bucks, 30 bucks, something like that. Nothing significant, but it's not for the pay. The certain crew members in some theaters do get paid. The director gets paid, not always, but mostly the directors get paid. The stage manager, which is a very important role, that they usually get paid. And sometimes lighting people, sound people, and technical people who build sets, they might get paid or they might not. For the most part, it's a volunteer effort that you spend, I don't know, 200 hours preparing for, something in the area of 6 to 8 to 10 weeks before a show. And it's some amazing amount of hours that you go after work to these rehearsals, sometimes two, sometimes 3 nights a week. And at the end, of the process in the week before the show. We call it Hell Week. It's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Every single night you are there from, maybe 6 to 10 or midnight. And then the show goes up on Friday, and that's a few hours that night, and then Saturday, and then Sunday, and then the following weekend, and sometimes more than that. So a lot of community theaters will just do 2 weekends, some will do three. So you do a lot of hours in the lead up to the show, which is performed usually 4 to 6 times.
You know, my nephew Weston got involved in little theater after graduating from college, and he just got married to one of the fellow actors. And the family thinks the gal he married is A1. They think she's great.
That's great.
Which leads me to a comment that I find that the current world is so alienating. Maybe that's just because I'm an old geezer. And people are on their iPhone, and the connections are so. A lot of people are frankly lonely,
Yeah.
and I would think that this would be a way to really connect with other people in some meaningful way.
It is absolutely. I mean, I see people playing Dungeons and Dragons. I see people interested in books or dogs or whatever. This is a hobby or an avocation that really brings people together. Yes, it is. I think it's if it's something that you decide you like, if you're into it, it is very much something that keeps you around creative people, keeps you from being lonely, certainly because you're busy doing these things. It's something that has a positive result in the end, but it really does keep you around a group of people. A lot of my friends, many of my friends are theater friends. They're actors who I've performed in shows with or have cast in shows, and they've turned out to be my group of friends. And it's nice because yeah, you do have this connection through this thing that you all love and do.
What's the next play you plan to direct, or have you not picked that yet?
So sometimes you apply to direct a show and you pick a show and you go to the theater and you say, I want to pitch this show to you. What they have an open time during the year, usually in January, February, or March, where they ask for submissions. And so you submit a show and you say, this is why I want to direct this show. And you may be competing with no one or 20 people. And sometimes they pick you and sometimes they don't. And then other places will say, we're doing these three shows this year. We're looking for a director. And you decide if you want to direct that show and you apply to direct it with your experience on your resume. And then you go and they interview you just like a job. It's very much like a job. And so to answer your question, I applied for a show for the fall and I did not get it. That's okay, but because I'm working on a short film with a friend that I'll be directing a short little comedy film that takes place in the Boston area in Plymouth in the fall. And then I have a show that I'm working on this summer, which is a Quincy, Massachusetts historical festival that I'll be helping. I'll be directing a 10-minute short play at that coming up in August. No, September. And then I'm looking at what is coming up in January. And if there's a show that I can direct, I'll produce something in winter, which is January, February, March, and I'll do a show, but I don't have that picked out yet.
Is there something you'd like to say that I haven't touched on, Ed?
Um, no, I think you asked me some great questions about theater. No, I say if people are interested, reach out to your local community theater. Um, I don't know if my information is certainly people could email me if they have questions and I could try to connect them with other people in the theater community. I'm not on Facebook, but my email is edkrasnow@gmail.com. If
I
anybody's
know
interested.
there's so much more you have to say, but we are limited in time. Would you promise to come back and talk
Yes,
again to us?
I would love that. This was a lot of fun.
We certainly will plan on that, and we'd love to hear from the audience out there. And thanks very much to Ed Krasnow for willing to talk to us about this exciting subject. And
Thank you, Doc.
so, uh, happy acting and viewing.